Hey everyone, welcome back to Founder Story. There's something that I really want to know more about when it comes to health. That's hormone replacement therapy. I've been wanting to get checked. I've been wanting to figure out, now that I'm over 40, what do I need to do? How do I need to live an optimal, healthy life? So hormone replacement therapy is something that I want to learn more about. I want to live an optimal life. I want to live to 140 years old, but healthy. So that's why we have co-founder Chris Stolzman today and the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Lee Moore, the other co-founder. Super excited for both of you today. It's Castle Rock Hormone Health is your company. Let's dive into exactly why did you start this?
I'll take it away. I think one of the things that I tell guys like you, 40-something, is that if you put a frog in a vat of boiling water, he jumps out. But if you put the frog in cold water and turn the heat up slowly, you cook him to death. And I was being cooked to death. I was 30-something years old. I actually started at roughly your age, 45. It wasn't available when I was 30. But I just accepted life as it was. And I didn't know that there could be something better. And I actually couldn't even believe it. But I finally got tested, found out that I was low, and decided to give it a try. And it was a life-altering event. It was Neo getting the red pill. It was nothing short of that. And then what happens professionally is you come to realize, by the way, being a doctor kind of sucks. Everybody is sick as heck and they're dying, and the stuff that you do for them just keeps them alive, but it doesn't make them thrive. And so all of a sudden, I have this life-changing moment personally. I remember it to the day. I remember everything that was happening, and it was like my life was completely transformed. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is everything that I signed up for when I went to med school. And, I've been a doctor for 25 years, and I've just been patching people up and sending them out the door. So for me, it was a personal journey, and it was a professional journey of we can transform lives now. And so that is the medical side of it. And I'll kind of hand it over to Chris for the business side of it, because not only do you have to provide an amazing service and really dial down at a functional level on a per person basis, but doctors suck at being business people and getting clients in the door. In comes my partner and great friend, Chris Stolzman. I'll hand the mic over there.
Thank you, sir. Well, want to thank you so much for having us, first of all. Lee and I had been friends for probably 5 or 6 years before he got started on therapy. And I was a pretty early adopter of this therapy. I was kind of a lifelong athlete, competed in Thai boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Somewhere in my, between my 33rd and 34th birthday, all of a sudden I just couldn't recover from workouts. Was used to working out, being able to manipulate my body composition pretty easily. And I felt terrible. I just all of a sudden felt terrible for no reason. I was convinced I had cancer, and sought out a number of different specialists. I'm like, what is wrong with me? It's crazy. I found this crazy Russian doctor in Denver who diagnosed me with low testosterone. But they were in some other branch of medicine, and they were kind of doing it as a side hustle. It was super expensive back then. And then, so I did some more research, and I found an amazing specialist. It was also very expensive, even more expensive, and worked with him for a couple of years. And it really, really changed my life. I was back, I felt better than I felt since I was, in my early 20s. He probably treated 20, 30 patients total, was charging a fortune, very cost prohibitive. And Then shortly thereafter, all of these kind of low T center type chains started popping up. And having had the benefit of working with a really brilliant specialist and then going to that, I knew a lot about it. So I was kind of able to manage them, managing my care. But they have kind of like a boilerplate flashcard for their people that work in the clinic to just, go, okay, you're this age and your levels are here, so you should be here. So we're going to try this and we'll see you in 3 months or 6 months. And in testosterone, anything's kind of better than nothing if you're at that point where, you're not recovering from workouts, you're active, your sex drive's down. So that usually works to a degree, but then it's not ideal. And the difference between that level of care and the proper level of care done by a specialist like Dr. Moore is orders of magnitude more profound and more transformative. So Dr. Moore sold his urgent care business back in 2016. We were both on TRT. We both had great results. And my background was in health and fitness, originally in kind of the big box health clubs. And then I got into boutique fitness, and then mostly on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academies, which is pretty high dollar in the monthly subscription range, but still pretty affordable in the overall, it's a couple $100 a month, right? And was with one of the best companies that does it in the country. They're still around. And they just were amazing at service. So I really adopted their philosophy on providing the best service for a reasonable price, kind of a premium price, but not a ridiculously premium price. Did that for several years. And I told Lee over coffee one day, I said, there's a big hole. There's a big gap in this hormone optimization business. It's not that hard to do it right. And you don't have to charge so much money that it's going to, cut out everybody except, the top, couple percent of money earners out there. You could service hundreds or if not thousands of people. So around that time, he had a practice in Vegas that he started to implement it at. And that went on into COVID. And then during COVID, about 2021, so we're kind of starting to come out of COVID. The practice wasn't doing great because COVID, right? Like it was kind of hard to go anywhere. He was kind of tired of traveling back and forth. So he had me go out there and do some consulting for his practice out there. And we started looking at doing a second location together. We were going to work 3 days a week at it and just do it to help people. And he ended up selling that practice in Vegas. We found an amazing location in downtown Castle Rock, and we got up and running, and we implemented the business plan that I had been running for years in the martial arts business, where we just over-deliver on service, provide a really good service. We had the benefit of him seeing every patient 3 days a week for, first 6 months to a year before we even brought on any other help for him. And it went better than either of us could have imagined. And it's kind of been like that ever since. We replaced ourselves about a year later with people that we trained to make sure that it wasn't super successful just because it was us in the building. Because that's what everybody always said, right? When they come in, they're like, it's amazing, but it's because you guys are there. It's all you. I go, man, it's not. It's the systems. The systems are amazing. They're like, nobody can do the system but you. So we replaced ourselves, and we really worked very hard for the next year to test the systems. Revenue went up by 40% from the time we replaced ourselves, and all we did was coach the staff. Opened our second location about a month after our annual strategy meeting 2 years ago. Started franchising 6 months later. Now we're in the franchise business, teaching other amazing providers and entrepreneurs how to do the same thing that we did in our community and their community. It's the most fun we've ever had working. We've been saying that since probably the first week we were doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing how you find where you can, one, solve a problem in the market like you did. You found the problem, you solved the problem, you came together with partnerships because each one of you has a certain strength. We hear from a lot of medical professionals, guests that we've had on, they're not always great in the business side, but they're really, really great about helping people and the need to make people better. So you came together with that, and it's really working. And now, franchising is like a whole nother thing. But like you said, if you can replicate yourself with your systems, processes, and you can see it work more than one time, it makes total sense. So I'm curious, what's the future then? So you've now franchised the business. You really understand like what the business needs. Now you have other medical professionals being able to also help more people. So where do you see this business in the next few years?
Leo, defer that one to you.
What I could say from a professional perspective, and listeners might care, I care and care, I care less and less every day, is I'm professionally, I'm sitting for the board of anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And then I'm interested in doing some fellowship work and diving more and more into the functional medicine side of things. There's some really interesting innovations in genetic testing and supplementation and really, I mean, it's crazy. I've cured people's blood pressure problems they've had for years by just starting them on a cheap supplement, which from a professional perspective, it's really exciting because we really, our system in America, or shall I say the West, is really locked in really deep with the medical industrial complex, most notably big pharma. And so that's highly exciting for me professionally. It's also exciting to continue to train and develop other practitioners, but as I'm sure Chris will allude to, other business owners. You would think this franchise system would be interesting to other medical providers, but actually medical providers more and more are a bit of a point and shoot asset. And what's really interesting is coupling with other business people that understand the foundations of business. You do not have to have an MBA, actually preferably not, because this business is so simple. I've alluded to it's kind of like an ice cream shop. You put ice cream out and people buy it. Pretty straightforward, nothing complicated to it. So professionally, a little bit more training, just really to service the customers at the next level. I really get excited about offering new service lines. When you start to hear over and over, guys are having erectile dysfunction issues, or, women are having issues with vaginal issues, hair, etc. It's nice to create new verticals for them that is, once again, outside of the medical industrial complex. And so in the future, I think I'm really moving into medical direction and being the chief medical officer of multiple providers offering care, which is it's fun and it's exciting. It's nice to be on the day in, day out working with patients, but it's also fun to be engaging at those higher levels. So that's what's on the outlook or the forecast for me. And Chris, you tell them your side of the story.
Yeah, I'm most excited. Like Lee said, it's not rocket science, and it's if you follow our step-by-step process, it's very easy to be successful and do it right and be a service to your patients, the community, and you're really changing lives. So I'm very excited to build a community of successful entrepreneurs that want to help people in a market that is, like Lee said, man, it's crowded by, a medical industry that's got conflicting interests with their patients, right? If you look at, most people don't have the benefit of being their doctor's clients. For the most part, the insurance companies are. Insurance companies are publicly traded companies. They've got to grow profit every year. So how do you grow, right? You either sell more, but it's already mandated by the government that you got to buy insurance. So how much more can they sell? The only other way is to cut costs, right? So if their interest is ultimately cutting the cost of care, it's going to cut the care, right? but we have a direct relationship with our patients. We're literally changing their lives. I've seen guys come in with high blood pressure, gone. I've seen guys come in, men and women with type 2 diabetes, gone, right? I was a very early adopter of men's hormone optimization. So was Lee. Now we're starting to see that adoption start in women. I think if you talk to, guys in our demographic, probably 80% of the guys, either like yourself, want to get tested. They know they probably feel better, or they're already on care, right? And then you get 20% are like, I don't believe in that stuff. They just don't like to go to the doctor, and that's cool too. We all know that guy, right? But with women, it's like, man, 5%, 10% are on it. And as you may know, women are significantly more complicated than us. It's kind of funny, but it's true. They have a symphony of hormones that need to be managed. Nobody out there knows how to manage them. And I've seen, women come in, can't get in shape, no matter how hard they try. They've been on birth control since they're, 13, 14 years old. Doctors are recommending, to their detriment, to go on birth control to stabilize their mood, manage their cramps, since they're going through puberty. Synthetic hormones, not really good for you. Very good for the insurance companies and the big pharma companies, right? That have a 10-year client until they're ready to have kids, maybe 20 years, maybe they never have kids, they're on it for 30 years. Not great for you. So when they come in and see us, they've been dealing with these problems all through adolescence and their early 20s, and we can correct their hormone profile, get their hair and skin looking vibrant, nails strong again, they're dropping body fat, they're increasing muscle mass, they're excited, mood surprisingly is more stable, right? You don't think like, oh, you add testosterone, it's a mood stabilizer. It in fact is, because they've been on the synthetic estrogen progestin since they're like 13, and they have zero testosterone, where they should have a much higher level of testosterone naturally. So I think that for the business, building that community of successful entrepreneurs, we're already helping, men and women. And I think as the adoption phase increases with women, we are, the only national franchise company that's working with women also. And we're doing it better than anybody I've seen out there. So I'm really excited to just help as many people as we can feel better, look better, like you said, live an optimized, healthy life. And then, man, helping these business owners be successful in a business where, it's just very similar to the gym business. You open a cash medical practice, 80 to 90% of them fail, where we have exploded, right? You open, any kind of health and fitness related business, if it's not a franchise, it typically is going to struggle or fail. If you're going to work with us, you're going to be successful. Just stick to the plan, follow that, and we'll all be, in Miami at our annual conference in a couple of years, or in Vegas at the A4M conference, listening to Lee speak about all the innovative new stuff that we can roll out of our franchises and help more people.
Yeah, I could tell you're passionate around not just the business, but you're passionate around helping people be better, live optimal, live better, whether it's men or women, which I haven't heard before. So thank you for sharing about that. It makes total sense. But you're also just passionate about the impact. So you're impacting so many other business owners, so many other doctors or medical professionals, and in the end, they just help people. So I love your passion for impact and your passion for good. So thank you for that. If people want to get in touch with you, they want to find out more information, how can they do so?
They can go to crhormonehealth.com, or they more than welcome to email me at cstolzman@crhormonehealth.com. Would love to hear from you guys.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for all that you do in helping people. And thank you for joining us today on Founder Story.
Thanks so much for having us, man.
Thanks so much, Dan.